Let's shift our focus to Afghanistan, where life has changed in the 6 months since the Taliban swept into the Afghan capital. The Taliban's rapid-fire advance through Afghanistan has left women and girls, a whole generation of whom have grown up with rights and freedoms, among the most vulnerable. Now, they stand to lose those hard-won gains as the rights and liberties of women are being snatched away. Taliban has not fulfilled the commitments regarding the education of girls and other rights for women. Women who hoped the Taliban would bring reform in their extreme views have been disappointed by the new severe restrictions imposed on them. Take a look.
Please help. The Taliban have come to my house. My sisters are at home. These are the words of a women activist in Afghanistan on a video clip she shared just before her illegal detention by the Taliban authority. Her fear could be seen in her eyes as the Taliban armed men began to kick the door and entered Paryani's apartment when she was alone with her sisters. Paryani was under illegal detention for several days. However, after massive outrage, she has been recently released by the Taliban. The only mistake she did was she demanded her basic rights. Though the Taliban had claimed to protect and respect women and their situation this time in their governance, their interpretation of what that means has raised alarms. Their strategies remains the same as when they ruled Afghanistan in the late 90s. When the Taliban first ruled Afghanistan, women were under house arrest. Apart from schools and work, they were only allowed to leave home when accompanied by male relatives and always entirely covered. This time around, just as the Taliban seized control of the country, they attempted to steadily erase women from public life. Billboards showing women's faces have been completely blacked out, and restrictions on women's work and education have been implemented. Protests demanding basic women's rights have quickly been shut down.
As far as I know, the Taliban at no stage have themselves claimed that their respect for women as is considered in the modern societies will be conferred because they are known for their rabid fundamentalist ideas where women are really hardly respected. There's no role for women from outside. And it is basically the Western countries or who have been insisting that the Taliban should, as it has seems to have changed on the face of it, should provide the women a greater role. Education, as you know, the schools, the women were not allowed to, children were not, ladies, not allowed to go to college. There have been separation. So they are following a strict Islamic or Sharia law, as it is called, or Islamic Emirates law.
Violence against women has been a consistent feature of life for many Afghan women and girls. Even before 15th August 2021, rates of violence against women and girls were extremely high, with studies suggesting 87% of Afghan girls and women experience abuse in their lifetime. With the Taliban takeover, access to top-coordinated, comprehensive and quality services for violence against women and girls survivors has deteriorated, while the need for those services have increased. Secretive shelters where they existed have reported receiving threats and being targeted for their work in support of women and girls. Many safe houses have been forced to close their doors after the Taliban takeover, leaving many women and girls who have experienced violence without a safe place to go seek help and refuge.
Well, as far as safe houses are concerned, if I remember correctly, there are about a dozen of them across Afghanistan since 2015 and all. And these safe houses were essentially for the women who were fleeing from the domestic violence and sexual misconduct and the violence against women, basically, despite the law having been passed during that time. And that was a refuge for them. to get away from abuse. If Taliban has taken over these houses and not allowing them, that is obviously in keeping with their actual philosophy. They think that the domestic issues must be resolved at home. This is the prerogative of the men under the Islamic laws, or the way they interpret it.
Not only domestic violence, many women have reported job loss after the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan, due to new restrictions on women's mobility and conditions on participation in public sphere. The conditions of Afghan women and girls is dreadful. The fear has been exacerbated by the fact that the Taliban rule have not been clear about their position on women's rights. They have made broad statements that women's rights will be respected within the framework of Islam, but their actions have not inspired much confidence. The situation of women and girls in the country is bleak, yet Afghan women continue to fight for their rights and demanding equality.